Alrighty, good afternoon, good day, and welcome to the VIOC In Action. I will be your host for this series, Athniel Bobbie Thomas, and I'm here with members of the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee that once a week right here in this station, you'll be able to be updated, get the information you need to understand the ins, the outs, and the workings of the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee. One of those committees a lot of people may not know about, but it has such a lasting international impact on the territory. For most of you who don't know, the number one recognizable symbol across the globe are those Olympic rings. And to be associated with those Olympic rings, it means a lot. It says a lot about you as an entity. It says about you a lot about you as a country. If you look at those countries who are not willing to participate in sportsmanship and fair competition, you will easily recognize why the Olympic rings has such high regard around the globe. As we all know, Olympics is pretty huge. So we are so glad that we, the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, the Virgin Islands, have a tie to those Olympic rings. It says a lot about our community, so it's great that we are able to be part of that. So here today, we have just a couple members of the leadership of the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, and we'll give you, we'll talk about the Olympic Committee, we'll talk about the history, we'll talk about some of the members, we'll talk about their functions. So it will all come together for you, and you will have a greater understanding of the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee. So gentlemen, if you will please go ahead and introduce yourselves to our listening audience.
Good morning, good afternoon, listening audience. My name is Angel Morales, President of the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee. I've been involved with the Olympic Committee since 1988. And I want to welcome all the radio listeners to our program and hope you, not only the listening audience, but also the ones on the internet. But I'd like to welcome you and hope you continue to tune in to our program since we will be here on a weekly basis.
And I'm Ansen Sligar, Vice President of the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, and I've been involved in the Olympic movement for over 10 years now. And I'm here with Chico, and we hope to hear from you as we take calls later on in this series throughout the year and share what our athletes are doing in the Virgin Islands.
In the Virgin Islands and across the globe. As you know, we have athletes in many different disciplines, and depending on the game which they're attending, whether it be the Olympics or the Pan Am Games or the Central American or Caribbean Games, or whatever game is scheduled, depending on the athlete and the different disciplines that we will have there. Now, being executive members of the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, just tell the people, just give them an idea of what the role of the president, how that one is involved with the committee, and how you have to build relations with Olympic committees throughout the Caribbean and across the globe.
Well, yes, like you mentioned, we are members of the International Olympic Committee. We've been a member since 1966. This year we will be celebrating our 50th anniversary in September, and we'll be speaking more on that in one of the future programs. But like I said, we've been involved in the Olympic movement since 1988. We are also members of the Pan American Sport Organization, the Caribbean and Central American Sport Organization, and also the Caribbean National Olympic Committee organization. Our main function, as Bobbie mentioned earlier, is to promote the Olympic movement in the Virgin Islands. We, along with our members, we have roughly 24 members that compose the Olympic Committee, the various sports organizations. And our main responsibility, we as the committee, we are responsible for identifying and funds so we can take our elite athletes to these major games, those being the Olympic Games, the Pan American Games, and the Central American and Caribbean Games, which are held every 4 years. Like I said, we are responsible for identifying funds, for writing proposals where we can get funds to support our athletes. And not only our athletes, because we're very much involved in the development of coaches and the administrators of each sport federation.
Right, and I you said not only athletes, and my short involvement with the committee, my mind is blown as to how great the educational push is for the International Olympic Committee, because they want people to know that it's more than just games. You have, I can't express the level of professionals that are involved with the Olympic committees. You have everyone from politicians to attorneys, doctors, they're all involved, and they know that the Olympic Committee is definitely a worthwhile organization. The venture is global, and it's a relation building entity that people would pay millions to build relations that some of the Olympic Committee heads have. So you imagine you're a leader of an entity, let's say in just in St. Kitts, you're a member, the head of the Olympic Committee. You might have a friend, a very close friend from Japan, and this is just through your Olympic relations, and it shrinks the globe, and that's one of the efforts the Olympic Committee is moving forward with.
Yeah, definitely we do establish some relations with members from the other Caribbean countries. We, on the administrative side, as well as the athletes when they attend these various major games or major championships, the bonds that they develop are bonds that last until their senior years. So very strong. These bonds are very strong, and once it's to develop the not only the sports in the region, but also the community, because the Olympic movement are very much concerned about the development of the community.
Absolutely, and Olympics is just that. Olympics may have had a very modest start, but as mentioned, it is now international. It is globally recognized, and more than the recognition, I think that the International Olympic Committee appreciates is the respect.
Definitely.
That everyone doesn't respect not just the Olympic Committee, but the fact that they are the Olympic Committee. They make up the International Olympic Committee, and the respect to know that everyone appreciates what Olympics does for the globe.
Definitely.
It brings the globe together. It brings nations together, and in competition. Nothing is wrong with competition. We have a generation that might have challenges with competition now, but Olympics, sports itself, it's so many aspects when we discuss Olympics, and in future shows we're gonna have amazing discussions, and we're gonna enlighten everyone as to how broad the Olympic reach is globally. And now you were mentioning as president, it seems to me like there's just constant conversations that just growing. The Olympic movement, the Olympic Committee, the International Olympic Committee is not settling for what they have now. As you know, they have to continue to be better, and in doing that, of course, it takes meetings and educations and seminars and stuff like that. And in small towns, you will get people here who are concerned when the governor is traveling to go to this conference or traveling to go to that. He has to go. That's where the information is. That's where the knowledge base is, and totally appreciate that everyone is out there playing their part and doing what they do.
Oh yeah, definitely. By attending these different conferences and general assemblies, that's where we find out where funds are available so we can assist our athletes. because at these general assemblies, that's when they put out the new programs for the following year, funds that are available. And if we don't attend these meetings, we won't know how to access these funds for our athletes and for our administrators.
Yes, and it's
coaches.
It's nothing to be taken lightly, because even in preparation for the different games, you want to make sure that your athletes who are coming to compete are comfortable. You want to make sure that they have all the paperwork necessary. They have understand the rules and how things move, because again, on an international scale, you have to have those standards taken to a different level. Because what amazed me in attending some of the games is the precision of how they have, like, let's say, is it rugby sevens? Is that a sport?
Yeah, yes.
You know, and 26 games, and you're wondering how they're going to fit 26 games in like 3 hours. And it's amazing to sit there and see.
It definitely takes a lot of organization and planning. And as you know, they when they plan these events, they begin planning 2-3 years in advance, so everything can work as clockwork.
Like clockwork.
Yeah, one team in, one team out.
Yep. So we have with us also Mr. Ansen Sligar, and he is he is a vice president on the Olympic Committee. Tell us a little bit about your role on the committee and what you do for the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee.
What I focus on is Olympic education for the Olympic Committee, and the programs that we do to involve the community besides sport. We try to embrace the value of education in sport. We promote the value of sport. And we want to make this a continuing culture within the community that encompasses both the mental and physical well-being of each person. Right now we have about a few programs that we work on, one called Sports for All. And in the past, that has incorporated over a month of activities, including the famous Olympic Day Run that takes place every year. We also have a program for culture and education, women in sport, sport and medicine, and sport and the environment. And like, for example, sport and the environment really doesn't involve sport at all, but it's like taking care of the environment, and we do some beach cleanups and stuff like that.
It does. I mean, there's the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee is that smaller piece of the international committee. So from the time you localize it by saying Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, you become part of the committee, environment is automatically put into place. And, a lot of people may not know, well, hey, I guess, the government cleaned up the beach yesterday. No, it wasn't the government. The Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, knowing that they're part of the community, comes out and does stuff like that. So that's very needed.
And a lot of these programs, luckily, Chico, our president, is also charge of these educational programs within the region also. And if he could mention a little about anything he's got going on regionally.
Yes, as a member, like I mentioned before, we are a member of the Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committees, and I am also a board member of that organization, as well as the chair of the Olympic Academy Commission. And one thing that Ansen failed to mention is that the Olympic Academy is the educational arm of the Olympic movement.
Right.
And that's a big responsibility which I have for the Caribbean, because we develop workshops throughout the region in the different islands for our members, and we have all the Caribbean countries as members. Roughly, we have about 26 members in these organizations, but we get funds from the organizers of the Pan American Games. As you know, when it's time to vote for who will host the following games, we as an organization, we meaning the Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committees, we do our little lobbying for the votes. And part of that is to get whoever is the winner to commit to providing funds for our organization to host different workshops throughout the region during the year.
Okay.
And we host roughly about 3 to 4 workshops in the region.
All right, we'll expand a little bit more on that, but it's time for our first break here on the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee in Action. We'll be right back. welcome back to the VIOC in Action. We are here with President Angel Chico Morales and Vice President Mr. Ansen Sligar. And I want to give you a little bit of information now, and we're going to go straight to Mr. Sligar.
Okay, I just wanted to say and tell everybody what the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee is all about. It's our mission. It's our mission to develop and promote sport and Olympic movement, and its high out ideas throughout the Virgin Islands in accordance with the Olympic Charter. In addition to the aim and purpose of the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, we shall support the Virgin Islands Olympic athletes in achieving competition excellence and preserving the Olympic ideologies, thereby inspiring all Virgin Islanders. The Virgin Islands Olympic Committee also undertakes to support and encourage the promotion of sports ethics, to fight against doping, and to demonstrate a responsible concern for the environmental issues.
Among a million other things.
Yes, correct.
But that is our mission. And, the Olympic Committee is a key part of the community. And you guys are just two of the leadership of the Olympic Committee. So who all are members or officers?
Yeah, we also have a Miss Lynn Reed. She's our Secretary General of the Olympic Committee. Our Treasurer, Mr. Joe Boshalti, he's off island, and the Vice President from St. Croix, Mr. John Abramson.
So we have
Five members.
five members leading the body.
Yeah, one President, one Treasurer, one Secretary, and two Vice Presidents. One representing each island district.
Each island district. Excellent.
Correct.
So on the Olympic Committee, and in an ideal world, I guess the pinnacle would be, well, I think it is. In an ideal world, the pinnacle is to be an Olympic champion, right? But of course, it all starts on local levels. And under the umbrella of the Olympic Committee, we have federations. What are some of those federations that we have?
Yeah, we will. Right now, we have a total of 24 federations. Back in 1966, when the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee was formed, it was started with 6 federations.
Okay.
Yeah, those being track and field, sailing, weightlifting, basketball, fencing, and volleyball. Since then, like I said, since 1966, we have grown to 24 federations. And it'll take a little while, but I'll run through all of them. And I hope I don't miss any. We have archery, baseball, basketball, bowling, boxing, chess, cycling, equestrian, fencing, golf, judo, sailing, shooting, soccer, softball, swimming, taekwondo, tennis, track and field, triathlon, university sports, volleyball, winter sports, and wrestling. Those are the 24. I've heard of the intent of some others federations wanting to join, but as soon as they get their act together and have programs,
Right.
Locally,
Right.
then
So
we will be considering those other federations.
So it's not just a matter of saying, hey, I play this, I want to make a federation. You have to show a lot more than just...
You have to develop programs locally and involve the youths.
Awesome.
So it's played locally and
Awesome.
not just something fly by.
And it only makes sense to begin with the children, because what you do then is you build a base and you have basically a farm system for your sport to grow. And the great thing is that children play together. And they might have a friend who has never played your sport, but because you have introduced it to this group, they then pass it on and so on and so forth. Right?
It attracts other people who may be interested. And once it's common, when people see others having fun, they gravitate to it.
Correct.
Because, we all like to have fun.
Now, I know the current membership is made up of the list that you just mentioned, but you said we were formed in 1966.
Yes.
Who was the members back then, or who was at least the
Okay,
president back then?
Well, we definitely have to give thanks to back then the first board members of who I can recall, those being, I think back in 1966, the first president was Len Stein, or Steen,
Okay.
Stein, and I asked to be forgiven if I mispronounce the name. And also Mr. Calvin Whitley, he was very instrumental, along with Lionel Todman and Mr. Julio Francis. They are the ones who had the vision and wanting to put the Virgin Islands on the Olympic map. So we definitely have to give them credit and thanks for having this passion to bring to get our athletes to the major games.
Right. And you know, as a child involved in interscholastic sports, that's why I received my first heartbreak in sports, because we were preparing for used to have the inter-island interscholastic tournaments, and I watched it for a couple years. I saw my brother playing, and then I played when I was in 9th grade. I played in fast pitch softball and in baseball. Those were my sports. And I said, this is my life now, you know. This is my life. Only to have my heart broken the next year when they said there's no money for it.
No funds.
But how it was said was, we don't have money for kids to play games, you know. But if you look to today and you name the most prominent Virgin Islanders, period, you're talking a major athlete somewhere, you know, involved in some international sport, you know, in Tim Duncan, one of the greatest ever, you know, and he, of course, was an Olympian, right? I think he
Yes, he did represent the United States.
But he will not ever be disowned by the Virgin
Right.
Islands.
Well, I remember one year, this is back in the late 90s, they had the Olympic qualifier in Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands did qualify to be one of those 8 teams in between North America, Central America, Caribbean, and South America. Top 8 teams.
Wow.
And the Virgin Islands was scheduled to play the United States, and Tim Duncan, he sat out that game. He was dressed, but he did not play. He said he refuses to play against his country. Yeah.
You know, and it's the questions are out there, you know, because the Virgin Islands, we are such a small territory. You know, max population 120 is really a big number nowadays. But we have some Olympic achievements that many still long for, including, you know, there are many nations who participate in Olympic events and do not have a medal, and we do have a medal, an Olympic medal, correct?
That's definitely back in where was this, in 1988 in Seoul, Korea. Peter Holmberg, he won our first ever medal, which was a silver medal. And if you look at the statistics in the Olympic manuals, as far as per capita, we are ranked high up there, number 1, number 2 in medals won at these Olympic Games, even though it was only one and it was a silver.
Right.
But in per capita,
Right.
for the small population.
And it was in sailing, right? What event did Peter sail in?
Sail, I think it was laser back in those days.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and again, the international aspect of it, it seems like nothing. A lot of people may walk around and see Peter and not know who he is, but internationally, he's remembered for his awesome sailing during those Seoul, Korea games.
Definitely similar to Julian Jackson. He travels anywhere and they recognize him as the boxer he is. It's the same with Peter Homburg. In the fields of sailing, in the events, when Peter Homburg travels, everybody knows him. And as you know, Peter Homburg, he sailed in the America's Cup. He was a captain in the America's Cup.
Yep, and that is
So
you can't pay for that kind of
he
recognition. You know?
He is well respected, You know, in the world of sailing, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, it's that what you want, because you get more than just your athlete competing with their achievements. It stretches into other ways it could help your community, because imagine Peter says, guys, I'm going to host a tournament. You will have people from around the globe want to participate just because it has the association with Peter.
Yeah,
Humboldt.
and I've mentioned, I must also mention that at the first World or Youth Olympic Games, the first World Youth Olympic Games, we also had a gold medalist.
Gold medalist.
In Ian Barrows, also in sailing.
All right. Ian Barrows, right.
Yeah. And that was just recent. That was, help me, Ansen, what year?
That was within the last couple years, right?
2012.
2012.
Well, yeah.
So, you know, it's
2010.
Oh, 2010.
2010.
Okay.
5 years ago.
Yeah. So we have, and the thing about it is the opportunities are still there.
So the world knows of our strength in sailing, you know, at these major games.
You know, and talking about the world knowing the Virgin Islands, we are not Team VI when we compete. We are actually Team
ISV.
Team ISV, and the basis of the three-letter codes come from.
It's a three-letter code in French.
Okay.
And you know, they would in French. I don't know too much French or any French for that matter, but it's Islas Virgenes, something like that.
So, you know, and it's because of all of the different teams that are involved.
And all 204 countries that are members of the IOC or the Olympic movement, all of them have this also this three-letter
designation, right?
Yep.
So, you know, it's
every country.
there's always been a push for us to get it moved, but you know, it's gonna be a pretty tough, like wanting to grow an 11th finger after being around for 50 years. You know?
Correct.
So it's,
very much correct.
It's tough, but now
this is given. This identification is given to us by the IOC,
by the International Olympic
Committee.
That's good. And you
nobody
know,
else has this code.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And if you check, like, whenever there are games and you go on the sites, that's the way you would find the Virgin Islands. You can find our team code or flag. It'll be right there, Team ISV. So we want all our listeners now to know that you guys are part of Team ISV. So go ahead and start putting that in your mind, Team ISV. It is still the Virgin Islands team, but it's Team ISV. And what we want to do is keep everyone interested, and we have different ways you could find out information about the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee. What are some of the contact the ways to contact the Olympic Committee? And from what I know, you can always go to the website, and the Virgin Islands it's www.Virgin Islands Olympics with an S, Virgin Islands Olympics.org.
And you can get us on Facebook at Virgin Islands Olympics, facebook.com/Virgin Islands Olympics, and you can follow us on Twitter at Team ISV. And if you need to get a hold of us for any reason, you can get a hold of us at 340-719-8462.
All righty. And is there an email address if someone has information they want to request by email? Is there a way they can just send an email to the...
Yeah, you can email us at noc@virginislandsolympics.org.
noc@virginislandsolympics.org. So that's the way, guys. You got to keep in contact with us. And the thing about it is, we have, as mentioned, Tim Duncan represented Team USA. He is not the first Virgin Islander or not the last, should I say, to represent Team USA and be from the Virgin Islands, because most recently was it Toronto? The young man that does the fencing. I forgot his name.
For the U.S.
For Team USA, yeah. Homer, that's right. Homer. I saw him up there in his Team USA. And I didn't know he was there. I was sitting watching the fencing match, and I had on my Virgin Islands jacket. came down. He said, "Hey, you from the Virgin Islands?" "Me too." You know, I was like, "Cool." You know, and he was actually one of the highest ranked members for Team USA.
Correct.
So he's doing big things, and you know, we have Virgin Islands athletes, Virgin Islands around the globe who are being recognized in many ways.
And they've done this in the past also, because back in 1972 at the Munich Olympics, Sugar Ray Seals, who hails from St. Croix, he represented the U.S. and won a gold medal in boxing, along with Paul Hoffman that same year, who won a silver medal in rowing.
You know, and even most recently, we had a Virgin Island athlete that was inducted into the Sewanee Athletic Hall of Fame. And this is stuff that you can check out when you go to the www.virginislandsolympics.org. You can find out information. And Dr. Kevin L. Lenahan, a chiropractor in the U.S. Virgin Islands, he was recently inducted into the Sewanee Athletic Hall of Fame. Dr. Lenahan represented the Virgin Islands in freestyle wrestling in 1993 at the Central American and Caribbean Games. He also worked with the Virgin Islands Wrestling Federation for 26 years as a board member, a coach, referee, and physician. Before attending the University of South in Sewanee, he was a Tennessee State wrestling champion. His athletic achievements at Sewanee included being a 4-year starter, defensive end for the football team, and co-captain 2 years, and all-conference for 1 year. In wrestling, he was a 4-time conference champion and a team captain for 2 years. So Virgin Islanders all over the place doing great things, Virgin Islands athletes. So we'll take our final break here for the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee in action. We'll be right back. Righty, welcome back to the VIOC in action. And, Olympics. Everyone knows the Olympics. In a year like 2016, this is an Olympic year. Everyone looks forward to the games during the summer, an Olympic year. But for Virgin Islands athletes, they just can't jump up and say, hey, we are going to the Olympics. It's actually a process. You have to earn the right. You have to work, put in the hours, put in the time, do those local, regional competitions before you get on the international stage of the Olympics. So if we can give our listeners an idea as to how, let's say, the team ISV basketball, our basketball team, how we would get to participate in the Olympics.
Yeah, well, first of all, you have to be a member of the federation. Okay, all athletes must be a member of the federation. And then the various sports, basketball, track, all of them have their regional games. And to get to the Olympics, it's a little process because especially in team sports, you have to not only qualify to compete in the Central American and Caribbean Games, but you must also place at the Central American and Caribbean Games. Correct. To be considered to advance to the Pan American Games. And then, of course, you have your regional tournaments that you attend. And even if you do not medal in, let's say, a Pan American Games, and you can get into the Olympic Games through qualifying competitions, a qualifier, right, which you call. I know in individual sports it's a little different because in individual sports they have standards that have to be met.
Right.
Like in track and field, you have to run, let's say, the 100 meters in 10.2 or under. Mm-hmm. Anything over 10.2 plus, 10.2 1, 10.2 3, that does not qualify. Right. And they have those standards, right, and they're strictly upheld.
Right, because you could win with something that is slower than the required time to advance, and you still don't advance.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And we witnessed something similar to that in Veracruz, Mexico. I think it was November of 2014.
2014, correct.
2014, where we had several athletes that medaled. Yes. In the track and field disciplines, and considering that they medaled, we thought that they were shoo-ins for the Pan American Games, and then only to hear that the standards were changed.
They were changed last minute.
In the last minute, because in November the standards were, at a certain level, and our athletes surpassed those standards. So we were elated, and then to find out a last minute change.
They knock off something like 4 of our track and field athletes who were scheduled to participate in the Pan American Games. They were unable to go.
Yeah,
and last minute. Well, I think it was something like 2 days before they were scheduled. We already had their airline
and stuff,
ticket, and they just had to be, dropped off the team, just like that. But like I said, these are international federations. They're the ones who oversee the numbers that participate, and anytime they have, let's say, like with track and field, they saw that the standard they had, too many athletes had met that standard, so they had to up it, and like I said, couple athletes got left off the team. But like I mentioned earlier, they do have to participate in these regional championships, and by participating in these regional championships, they're able to qualify for the World Championships and also qualify for the Olympic Games, right, which have high standards. And we have had athletes who have already met these high standards for Rio. We have Cy Thompson, who has already qualified in sailing, right, for Rio. We also have Eddie Lovett in track and field.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have several others. Because by us being a member of the Olympic movement, we can take 2 track and field athletes if we don't have any qualified. The same as swimmers. one male and one female, and this is in place so the games can ensure that all 204 countries participate in this festival, this sport festival, the biggest sport festival in the world.
Absolutely.
Yes, and but as of now, we have one athlete, one male who has qualified, and we expect more to qualify. We definitely know I have high expectations in Laverne Jones and Alison Peter.
Right.
We also have Tabari Henry and Leslie Murray, a 400-meter hurler who won a bronze medal at the Central American Caribbean Games.
We also have Leon Bookie Hunt, he's actually relocated to the VI to do some training.
Correct. Here at the track at Eudora Ken, and since we are on that topic, it's something that we need the government to see through so we can be able to bring home our athletes and showcase them locally, our track and field athletes. But going back to the Rio team, in swimming, we also have a male swimmer who has qualified, Mr. Rex Stilius, and we also have a female swimmer who has been identified, Kaylee Watson, to represent the Virgin Islands. Those will be definitely on the team. And like I said, I expect to see another 3-4 track and field athletes to meet the minimum requirement. We were also given an opportunity to submit some names for athletes who have not qualified as of yet. They call this the tripartite commission. Basically, it's something like a wild card.
Right.
Because of their showing in regional competition and international competition, they are invited to we are invited to submit their names to be given to get these athletes to get an opportunity to participate in the games, and we have submitted these requests for several athletes. Those what we have in boxing, Clayton Laurent.
Right.
Clayton Laurent, he has been he has represented us in many games, and he has fought very well. He has fought to the point where even the crowd viewing the fight
the
said
results.
he won.
Correct.
But the results showed otherwise.
The results were different to what
he
the
has
crowd
been in a
was.
lot of heartbreak decisions, and he takes it. I have to give him credit. He takes it. The true sense of competition,
Right.
and a gentleman. He's a gentleman in the boxing ring. But personally, I feel that he deserved the opportunity to box, and that's one of the reasons we submitted his name. So we have in Taekwondo, Denise Joseph.
Right.
And fencing, we also submitted for Striker Weller, and in shooting and archery also. Of these 5 names that we submitted, I'm hoping that they at least grant us 2 of these for these wild cards, 2 more, which will raise our team. Hopefully we'll have a team of around 10 athletes representing us in Rio, in the different sports, sailing, of course, track and field. We hope in boxing and also swimming and taekwondo.
Right. And a lot of people may not understand how significant it is to have Olympic representation, but there are countries maybe 10 times the size of us or greater that are unable to field athletes, And you mentioned Cy Thompson, who already qualified. Cy Thompson from the little, U.S. Virgin Islands, there are nations of millions who don't have a sailor already qualified,
True. And he qualified over a year ago.
Correct.
Correct. And one of the first opportunities that he had, he was able to meet those standards.
Right.
And we're very proud of him. I
Absolutely.
must say.
And the flip side of that coin is you still have opportunity for athletes to qualify, up to some upcoming event. Like you mentioned, if they post certain times, they can get to.
I know in track and field you have up to I think June. June is the cutoff where you can
the
meet
games
these standards.
are in August.
Yes. In August.
Yeah, and for those who are not paying attention and have been sleeping, 2016 is indeed an Olympic year. So whenever you realize, hey, this is a leap year, it is also an Olympic year. And the games this year will be in Rio de Janeiro.
Correct.
Rio de Janeiro.
That's in August.
And you've heard in the news they are already they have already completed several facilities, because it's a major venture to win the bid for hosting a game. As you said earlier on in the program, it's a lot of investment your nation, your country has to put in.
Yep.
And they are working feverishly to get everything in place for August.
And that's why they are awarded, 7 years in advance. Because the amount of work you have to do, the amount of investment you have to do in upgrading the city, in all the infrastructures, etc. You just can't do that in 3-4 years.
You definitely can't do it.
No.
And the investment, you'll definitely see the rewards, as you will have so many visitors and millions of eyes on your country for the games. You have, along with the thousands of athletes that will attend, you definitely have to have their support group in coaches and federation representatives, and the media coverage. You cannot. It's priceless.
And don't forget the fans who follow their countries.
Yeah, you will have fans coming from around the globe to do that, and it's key. A lot of people don't realize that it's not free as well. They are athletes, they are competing, but to compete on the international level is nothing that you can fund on your own. Cy Thompson, our first athlete who competed, who qualified over a year ago, he's not sitting around just chilling, eating burgers. He has had to spend his year plus super training, he said, I'm just qualifying is only the beginning, that's scratching the surface. So the investment to keep him prepared and get him ready, it's
definitely
very large.
Qualifying as the impetus you have to, push forward, and that's when the training really begins.
That's when it begins.
There's no turning back.
There's no turning back for sure. And we absolutely wish the best for Cy and all of Team ISV, Virgin Islands athletes, members of the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, who are striving to get to Rio in August, but the road is not an easy one. One thing we want to do with the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee in Action show is to get you, our listeners, all of the Virgin Islands, behind Team ISV. We need your support in every way. If you see the athletes training, let them know that you absolutely support them. And just a reminder to let everyone know, if you want to find out more about the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, you can get to our website, www.virginislandsolympics.org. Check out our newsletter. We have our newsletter in there for 2016. Our first edition is in January. You can also look us up on Facebook, www.facebook.com, Virgin Islands Olympics, and on Twitter at Team ISV. If you want to send an email to get information so we can send you back some information, you can always send us an email at noc@virginislandsolympic.org. And if you want to give us a call during the week, regular working hours, 340-719-8462. So, Chico, you have any final comments you want to give to the community?
Definitely. I want to thank the listening audience for tuning in, and I hope you become a part of our family, and we'll meet every Saturday from 12 to 1 this year, and this being our first program. I hope to see you in the 51 others. Yes, definitely.
All right. And Ansen?
I just want to say thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll be able to share with some of you the Olympic movement in the Virgin Islands in these upcoming weeks.
All right, this has been Neil Bobbie Thomas for the VIOC in Action. See you next week.